Hello, this is Brooks Whittington with halfwheel.com. Today we're taking a look at a very unique cutter visually, which is the Colibri Quasar. Now, obviously the first thing that jumps out at you is the blades, and we'll get to those in a second. But I want to first talk about this hobnail pattern around the edge. It was inspired, the look of it was inspired by an old 1960s Moultrie lighter that Colibri produced. The first time we've seen it in recent years was when Colibri and Daniel Marshall got together and produced a humidor as a collaboration and released it at the IPCPR show. But other different accessories have followed since then with that same look to it, including a ashtray, which is very, very large and very, very heavy. But you can see that same the same look to it as you can see there. Then they've also released a tabletop cutter, which you can see here also has that cool look. But this one also has two different cutters in it: a V cutter on one side and a regular straight cut on the other side. This is very cool. I've actually reviewed that on the site already. You can take a look at it, the review that is, and it is a very, very cool cutter and very good and perfect really for the office or for a tabletop or anything of that nature if you need something like that. Also released a punch cutter, which we haven't reviewed yet but are going to. And this one here will, you can see it has the same look to it. Has three different punches. Very cool design, very light, very easy to use. I have not reviewed that yet, but we're going to. And so here we get to the cutter of the hour here. So basically, fairly standard specs in terms of cutters. You have 8 different colors and combinations that you can buy, including blue here. All of them cost $59 a piece. 440 stainless steel in the blades. And it can cut up to 62 ring gauge cigars, which I did test, and it does cut them. You can cut bigger caps; it just doesn't go as far through. So you would just have to you'd have to cut a little bit less off the cap if you wanted to use it for that. But it would use for larger. It would work for larger caps as well. It has a spring-loaded release. Basically, you just click this, and it comes right open. The blades come out. Very, very nice click, and very, very easy to use in terms of that. Now, some things that I loved about this cutter, really right off the bat. Number one is the unique design. The blades, as you can see, the blades are actually very interesting looking. But basically, what they did, they call an open design, where they basically just cut out the rest of the metal around the actual sharp part of the blade. And that's basically how you're getting that look to it. Basically, they wanted to just have the blades, the sharp part, go through the cap, as opposed to the rest of the metal, which apparently is unnecessary. And so that's how they came up with the idea. It's a very unique look, very cool when you pull it out. People don't really know what to do with it or what to think of it. It's definitely something, one of the most unique looking cutters that I have seen in quite a while. It's very light as well. It's very, very easy to use and very thin. I can carry it around in my pocket very easily and not have to worry about it being annoying or anything of that nature, that it's too heavy or anything like that. Another good thing about it, very cool, is that it can be used as a cigar stand. So you can actually use this, basically just put that right on top of there, and you could very easily just use that as a cigar stand. I've done it many times, and it works like a charm in a pinch. And so there's that. One of the cool things, the blades are very sharp. I've had no issues at all. After 2 months of use, I've had no issues at all with actually having any issues with it not cutting a cigar or doing something where I would think that the blades are anything but sharp. But one of the coolest things about it is that because you can see everything that you need to see here, I can see exactly where that blade is going to cut in there, because the other stuff is not in there. And so you basically just find it, cut it, bam, easy. And you can see that is a pretty sharp cut, a little bit angled, but sharp. Very, very nice. And I had no issues with it the entire time I was cutting it. There were some with breaking the cap or anything, major issues. There were some problems when I had some problems with some pieces left over, tobacco or something of that nature. But it was probably my fault, not the cutters. Some things that I didn't like necessarily about it. Number one is that knob. as you can see, the knob actually sticks out from the cutter itself quite a bit, and so you have to be very careful with it catching on things, your pocket or a bag or something of that nature when you actually do that. And because it will catch very easily on things. And I didn't have any problems ripping or anything like my pocket, but it possibly could. And so you have to be careful about that. The other thing is that one of the other things that I think is going to be more of an issue going forward is the fact that the paint seems to be coming off. You can see it right here. The paint seems to be coming off on all of these peaks. They're not sharp enough. These diamond edges are not sharp enough to actually cut you or anything. But you can see that it seems to come off a little bit, wear off, at least on this specific color. And that's, I think, is probably going to get worse. We have not tested any of the colors, so it's possible it's just for this one specific color. But it's obvious that it's going to be a problem in terms of the peaks on this specific cutter. You can see that it's definitely happening all around and to varying degrees. So there is that to look at. Also, one other thing that I get kind of annoyed with was the fact that when you actually cut a cigar, every once in a while you'll find some tobacco that gets caught in these edges here, and you have to kind of dig it out with a toothpick or something. It doesn't happen often, but when it does happen, it is very annoying. But having said all of that, would I recommend the Colibri Quasar? The answer is absolutely 100%. If you need a straight cutter, this is an extremely nice looking, unique looking, very awesome to use, light but balanced, cheap at $60 for something that you're going to use for years. The blades are sharp, and it's just a joy to pick up and use every time. I enjoyed it immensely, and I absolutely recommend it if you're in the market. So for halfwheel.com, for any reviews of cigars, cigar accessories, or really anything cigar related, news and that kind of thing, you can check out the website, halfwheel.com.